It sounds like insanity is behind it because it really is offensive when you see police officers in New York City being beaten by illegal immigrants in this country who should not be in the country in the first place. And then after they engage in this crime against a law enforcement officer, they are let loose back out onto the streets. What's going on in New York is outrageous.
Of course, our governor lashing out at the violence and of the illegals that Joe Biden has welcomed into our country, making sure we are a country without borders and that people from 171 different countries can invade us. 60 Minutes showing all these Chinese illegals coming in. And guess where they're learning it from, 60 Minutes said. The Chinese illegals that are flying in are taught on TikTok that they can how to do this, and they literally they asked the illegals, the Chinese illegals at the border, at that area where it's at the very end of the border. I think in California, it's in California. I think it might be San Ysidro sector. But the point being is, they say, how did you learn that this area here on the fence was open? TikTok told us, they say, it told us to go fly into Mexico City, and then they have luggage like they're tourists because it's that easy. They fly into Mexico City, and they take a bus, and then they get towards the border, and then they walk up, and then they are told to go right there. And they learn it all on TikTok. And the Chinese Communist Party is extremely happy to send them here and let them go. And they're middle-class Chinese. So this is a world invasion from our enemies and from Islamist countries, from terrorists, and from thugs from Venezuela and Colombia who are committing amazing amounts of crime on folks. 3 more arrested, as I mentioned in the last segment, for doing 62 purse snatchings and iPhone stealings and then taking the phone and spending it with their Apple Wallet. In Florida, because they steal in New York and they spend it in Florida because they don't want to go to jail, because they will if they do it in Florida. I want to hear from you right now. Call in. We got one line open, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Do you feel this is just the beginning of the huge amounts of crime and gangs and criminals that Joe Biden has brought into our country, and not just in New York City, but all over the place, including all over the country, including here in DFW? And what would you like to see happen with all of Joe Biden's illegals? Should we deport the heck out of all of them? Or should we get rid of all of them, or just hunt down the, quote, bad ones, which is what Mayor Adams said in his press conference, I think today or yesterday, which is pathetic. 800-288-WBAP is our number. Let's go to Charles and Denton. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Hey, Charles.
How you doing, Chris? Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome, brother.
Yeah, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse because when these people start realizing they're not going to get everything that Joe Biden promised them, these people are going to start rioting. That's what they're going to start. That's what unfortunately they're going to have to start doing. And I suggest that we should do, because if you guys don't remember Sheriff Arpaio from Maricopa
Sheriff
County,
Joe
Arizona?
from Maricopa County, which is Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah, he gave us the blueprint. You know, we need to make 10 cities, put these people in pink underwears, and feed them MREs.
I like that.
Until we figure out what to do with them.
Right. Yeah, so you don't... Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. And we're going to have to go for the bad ones first, and then we're eventually going to have to get everybody. But we have to go for the bad ones first, just to start sending a message.
Yeah, so everybody, I agree with you on everybody. Start with the bad ones first, sure, because they come on the radar. You get them, and you ditch them. Appreciate your call, man. We got 2 lines open at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Chime in right now. Do you feel this is just the beginning of the huge amounts of crimes and gangs, the criminals that Joe Biden has brought into our country, and not just in New York City, but here? And what would you like to see happen to all these illegals that Joe brought in? Get rid of them all, or just hunt down the bad ones? Let's go to Daryl in Dallas. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Yeah, this is just the start of a wave. It's going to get worse and worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
I like that Abbott has a little bit late to the party, but has finally started to crack down on the border.
Right.
But I'd love for Abbott to take 20 busloads of illegals and take them to the neighborhood of Mayorkas. He is not doing his job. Take 20 busloads of illegals to his neighborhood.
To Gracie Mansion, where he lives, yeah.
Yeah, and then take the next 20 busloads of illegals to the offices of Homeland Security, and then another 20 busloads set up a tent city outside the White House. I want Joe Biden every day to see what his failed policies have caused in this country. And then after that, after you hit those three places, then the rest should just be shipped back to Mexico the minute they touch U.S. soil.
Well, of course, it's hard to do that as a state. But that will happen with the President Trump. But he has a plan. I read some of it to round up every one of these illegals all over the country and empower ICE and some other federal entities to find them all, cuff them, stuff them, and arrest them and deport them. That's the kind of thing we're going to need. Somebody like a Trump who can get in there and just take it by the horn and just get them out of here. Send the message clearly. If you can't prove you've been here for more than whatever the exact date is, 4 years or whatever, then you're out of here. We're going to find you and you're out of here. Every one of you. And if you don't produce anything when we get you, then we're just going to assume you're one of those, and we're going to get you out of here. Daryl, appreciate your great call. Let's go to Mark in Flower Mound. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Hey, Mark.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yeah, I was talking to your screener. Yes, I do think this is the start of increased crime, especially in our metropolitan areas. It's going to be running rampant here, but the second thing is they were talking about an immigration issue. I would say that if we have all these non-governmental agencies that are, in essence, aiding and abetting, they should have a lot of them probably nonprofit, so they should probably have their nonprofit taken away from them.
Like the Catholic Charities group that apparently, quite possibly with our own taxpayer dollars, literally funded the bus for the illegals to abscond to Calexico, California, and we don't know if they're going to even be grabbed by anybody else, the feds or anyone. I mean, they literally have a good chance of being out of this country after they beat the hell out of 3 of our cops, 8 of them.
Yeah, so I would look into who these non-governmental NGOs or NGAs, as they were calling them, and
that was Catholic
make a
Charities,
determination of what is going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I mean, they're part of a network that is taking part in human trafficking, criminal trafficking, and sex trafficking and sex slavery, unfortunately, because if you're helping this whole thing, you're helping all those flourish. I appreciate your call, Mark. Thank you very much.
Sure thing.
All right. Let's see. We have time for... Okay, you want me to hold Sandra through the break? All right, Sandra in Fort Worth, you are next. Okay, take her now. All right, go ahead, Sandra. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Hey, Sandra.
Okay. Thank you. I think they all should go. They're all thieves. They got here by stealing their way in, and people never like what they steal. So if they're here, they will always work against us because they stole their way here. People hate what they steal. And so none of them should be kept. They all should have to go. No exceptions.
I totally agree. They all need to go.
And the numbers that are here just embolden them to do the crime that they are.
You want to hear
how they can get away with it?
You know, you're really leading me up to segue perfectly into my next topic on this, and that is Elon Musk saying that Biden opened all the border floodgates so that Democrats can stay in power. It is exactly what I believe and what many folks believe, that these illegals will in fact be voting. I read today in one of the articles by 2031, if the Democrats can help it, voting in our elections by 2031. And the numbers of them, about 9 million, that outnumbers, I think last time I checked, somewhere around 33 of our states. The population is greater than I think 33 of our states. I mean, if you think about it, Rhode Island, Maine, Delaware. I mean, how many people? Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota. You can just start rambling off all these. Nebraska. I mean, there ain't no 9 million people in any of those states I just mentioned. Wisconsin will be lucky if they have it, for example. I don't even know if they do. So they probably don't have 9 million. They probably got 6 or 7 million in Wisconsin. So, I mean, we're literally importing a population greater than around 33 of our states. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's a 51st state being brought in by this president. It's repulsive.
Yeah, it's unthinkably horrible. It's hard to comprehend. It's just hard to comprehend.
Yep, absolutely. I really appreciate your call, Sandra. And you know what I'm thinking about out loud is Trump, the numbers on the illegals and the Trump versus Biden with the polling shows people want a Trump. And it shows that there's support for getting these 9 million people the heck out of here. None of them belong here. Whether they're docile or not. Docile or not, doesn't matter. All right, coming up next, I can't wait to get into this. And I'll take more calls than what we're discussing right now, but also I want to get into this next. Elon Musk says Biden is bringing in so many illegals that he can make them citizens and create a one-party state. That is next. I want to hear from you on that at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Chris Crocker, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3.
And I saw your outrage. Why are you outraged?
Because this place was, like you said, it's free. It was a place for our children. I have 4 children, and it's sad. I have 4 boys, and we really don't have nothing in the community that's free for us. Don't get me wrong. It's great that they want to help the immigrants, but what about the Americans that are already here? What about the people that are already here that don't have homes, that don't have jobs, that are sleeping on the street already? These people came from the airport here, probably on boats, probably on buses, and probably all for free. Now they're getting stipends. They're getting what else? I need money for me and my kids, and I was born here.
What's going to be the consequence of this being changed and just to migrants? Where are those kids going to go right now?
Probably to the streets. To the streets, where most of them are already at. Like when we look for help, it seems like the state and the governor and them people, they push us away. They want to turn our children to animals. They want our children to be bad and F up. Yeah. We want better for our community, but this right here is going to be a show, and it's going to be crazy.
Thank you so much,
This is going to be crazy.
Yeah, I have some video that I can't play for you because my editor did not edit it well enough because there's still a few more F-bombs he missed. I don't know how you can miss that, but nonetheless, so there's a guy, I'll just tell you, an African-American man in the community in Massachusetts where they said, sorry, this community center is closed. The one the governor fake cried about that we played for you. In fact, I might still have that one I can play for you next segment, but just a guy was screaming and yelling F-bombs. He says, I can't afford to live here. African-American guy. I cannot even afford to live here anymore. And now you take my rec center? What are you doing? He was screaming, and the cops agree with him, but they can't say it because somebody's recording over the social media thing and such. But the guy comes over there on a bicycle. He can't afford to live anymore there, which I very much understand the way these progressive policies work. And now the illegals are taking his one thing that he enjoys as a member of the community. They take over the community center, and that's what that interview was with one of the other folks who lives there. And an African-American woman disgusted and outraged that her community center has been taken away from her. And you know how they learned about it? They didn't get to vote on it. They just showed up and it was closed. Illegals take over. Boom. This is why the polls are so pro-Trump now. I'll give you some of those details in a few, but I wanted to get into this Elon Musk story. Because remember what the liberal Democrats and the media say about us? That we are saying the replacement theory, and that is racist and xenophobic and all this, like a cuckoo conspiratorial. But lo and behold, Elon Musk said that today, indeed, and it's on my Twitter feed as well. You can follow me at Chris Crock Show. That's at Chris Crock Show, CHRISKROK. But indeed, he said that this is about the Democrats being able to stay firmly in power and permanently in power, about making a one-party state. Musk tweeted out that the replacement theory is exactly correct, and it's true, and it's happening. And I agree with him. And many people do. Tucker Carlson's been saying this for a long time. I've been saying it for a long time, and anybody who's got a brain knows it's happening. Musk says Biden's strategy is very simple. 1, get as many illegals in the country as possible. 2, legalize them to create a permanent majority, a one-party state. That's why they're encouraging so much illegal immigration. Simple, yet effective. ICE, in 2023 for the year, shows the number of illegals on the non-detained docket. Okay, that's the court schedule coming up for illegals. It went from 3.7 million in 2021, watch this growth, to then 4.8 million the following year in 2022, and then now 6.2 million in 2023. Look at that. It has doubled. Each year it went from 3.7 to 4.8 to 6.2. This is a full-scale invasion from the world. Musk says this explains why there are so few deportations, as every deportation is a lost vote. Now, I want to ask you some questions. I agree with him 110% on this. I agree this is an entire new class whose population is more than at least 33 of our states. Do you agree with Elon Musk that Biden wants this invasion? Chime in right now at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Do you agree with Elon Musk that Biden wants this invasion so that the Democrats can eventually become a one-party state/country? What makes you think this is so true? And this really is the replacement theory, isn't it? Which we're ridiculed for saying, but do you actually think that's true? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I want to hear from you right now on the Chris Crock Show. Line's wide open for you. I'm going to be giving you some more statistics. Venezuela is threatening us on something. The polling with this whole invasion, so they're in control, not us, because Joe Biden wants it that way. And number two, the polling tells you everything about what people think. Independents, even Democrats, and moderate Republicans, how they feel about this. Everybody sees the truth. Everybody knows the truth. And it shows that why President Trump is the answer against Joe Biden and why he's hurting so bad. Another poll just came out today. And it's all to do with illegal immigration in this country turning into wars after wars after wars from our president. I'll tell you all about those coming up next. Want to hear from you as well. 800-288-9227. Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. You should make it a preset.
It doesn't make no fucking sense. None. I'm fucking homeless. I work a full-time job, 40 hours, and get paid to live here. How the fuck are y'all gonna bring somebody else here? Don't make no fucking sense. None.
That's an African-American man in a neighborhood where you probably saw this the other day in Boston, where he literally and the community has been kicked out of their own rec center in a heavily African-American community that is lower income. The guy's homeless. He works a full-time job, can't afford to live, and now he lost his rec center too. And you wonder why Joe Biden's going to get tossed out of office, very likely, as of right now. As of right now, the world in politics changes week to week, day to day, right? But right now, it's looking terrible for Biden. Now, Elon Musk said today that he believes this is the replacement theory. It's happening. That Joe Biden is going to make all these people voters soon. There was an article I saw that came across my radar that literally says that they could be voting as soon as 2031. I'm going to try to dig to find that exact report, but I saw it today, and I'm going, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We also have this from Bill Malugin, Fox News Tonight. I'm going to retweet this right now. Breaking per multiple ICE sources. To me and my colleague Griff Jenkins, ICE and Homeland Security arrested several illegals believed to be involved in a mob beating of two New York police officers at a Greyhound bus station in Phoenix this evening. We've reached out to ICE for formal statement and are told we likely won't get further details until tomorrow. Developing situation. This just came across the wire to me 10 minutes ago, actually, is when Malugin tweeted. So it looks like it just happened in Phoenix. They were see how close they were to getting out of here on our dime after they robbed our cops and beat our cops. A lot more of them out there doing a lot more crime. Do you agree with Elon Musk that Biden wants this invasion so that the Democrats can eventually become a one-party state and country? And what makes you think this is so true? This really is the replacement theory, which we're ridiculed for saying, but do you actually think it's true, as Musk does and I do? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. That's 800-288-9227. The report that I was looking at. Anyways, we'll see. I'll see what the 2031 possibility could be, but it certainly wouldn't surprise me. So I would agree 110% with that. Now, I want to add something else into the fold here about this whole illegal bill, this amnesty bill that Speaker Mike Johnson said today is actually worse than it's a worse bill than we expected, even worse than we expected, he says. Trump says this would be a great gift to the Democrats. And Chuck Schumer is threatening us. He's threatening us. That's a great way to get you to support a amnesty bill. But here's what could be one of the worst parts. It grants the far-left D.C. District Court exclusive authority over future immigration disputes. The complete Democrat leftist, where, for example, Trump's case is in front of federal judge Tanya Chacon, who's insanely woke and hates Trump. This bill grants the far-left D.C. District Court exclusive authority over future immigration disputes. Really? So there's not one person that thinks like our side. It's all Democrat, and we're going to let them decide stuff in the future. Are you kidding me? Now, that's a joke. The Speaker Johnson said it is dead on arrival if it reaches his chambers, even worse than we expected. It would allocate $20 billion for border security to give the federal government temporary authority to expel the illegals when the average number of daily crossings exceeds a threshold. That's 5K. Border security component includes ending catch and release, blah, 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 increasing standards for asylum screenings, attempting to process asylum claims. $60 billion for Ukraine, $14 billion for Israel, and aid to Indo-Pacific allies. But here's the deal. Johnson just said he's going to put a $16.5 billion emergency funding for Israel in a standalone bill. So that way we can support Israel without this garbage. Meantime, Chuck Schumer is threatening us. He said that on MSNBC, fake news MSNBC, he literally said that U.S. troops are going to be sent to fight Russians if we don't pass this border bill. You're going to be sending our kids to war if you don't vote for this border bill. Wait, what? I thought that was about the border. What? Your kids are all going to be at war. Holy crap, the guy who's in charge of the Senate right now is saying, the Penguin is telling us that, he looks like the Penguin, doesn't he? From Batman and Robin. Yeah, except he doesn't have his little glasses on, his little spectacles on. But he's telling us that if we don't pass this bill to give amnesty to the illegals, that our kids will be sent to war in Ukraine. What? Oh, that's so funny. So Chuck said on fake news MSNBC, we're at a turning point in America. We're at a turning point in America. Is build a I can't say what it is build is crucial. I don't know what the bill is crucial, I guess. History will look back on it and say, did America fail itself? Why is it crucial? Well, if we don't aid Ukraine, Putin will walk all over Ukraine. We will lose the war. See this? Now we have to pay money, otherwise we're going to lose. We don't want to lose. Oh, I don't want to lose. What do I sign? What do I vote for this? Okay, I don't want to lose. No, but it gets worse. And we'll be fighting in Eastern Europe. There you go. We will lose the war, and we could be fighting in Eastern Europe in a NATO ally in a few years. Americans won't like that. Schumer, and then Jack Posobiec just tweeted out, breaking, Senator Schumer just threatened to send U.S. soldiers to fight Russia in eastern Ukraine if the border bill isn't passed. Holy crap! We're all done now. You know, when you say this kind of stuff, you know how pathetic this whole thing is, don't you? I mean, this is hysterical, actually, to read this. I can't even read without laughing. So, obviously, threats always work. Your kid's going to fight the war. My 20-year-old who's in college will be studying in Japan in a month and a half for 5 months. This semester, the spring semester starts in a month and a half over there. Anyways, he'll be yanked away from Japan. He'll go fight a war in a few months, right? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, right. Threats always work, don't they? So, and I'll give you more details on this amnesty deal, but do you want Republicans to push this bill through? Do you think we should take this so-called bipartisan amnesty deal, or should we reject it? And does Chuck Schumer's threats of us going to war with Russia if we don't pass this bill make you more likely to support the bill or less likely? What does it say that he says your kid's going to be fighting a war in Europe or in Ukraine against Russians if he doesn't pass this bill? What does that tell you? That tells me how much of this, how stupid this whole thing is and how pathetic it is. To get me to support it, you're going to threaten sending my kid to war. Well, I think you know what you can do with that, Senator. Where the sun don't shine. What would work for you on a border deal, by the way? So do you want this deal? What would work for you on this deal? And what do you think about Chuck Schumer's saying we're going to go to war in Russia if we don't pass the bill? Does that make you more likely to support it or less likely? 800-288-WBAP. I want to hear from you right now at 800-288-9227. Chime in, 800-288-WBAP. Now, I'm going to give you more details on this bill, and including the latest that Abbott is saying and threatening to do, which I very much appreciate, on this whole invasion of illegals, coming up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. Well, this doesn't look good, y'all. Really doesn't look good. Just getting this in from Breitbart. Mitch McConnell turns against border bill. I want to hear from you, by the way. Do you want Republicans to push this bill through, this bipartisan, quote unquote, which I don't believe it is, honestly? They're selling us a lump of doo-doo feces, as Michael Jackson would say, quoting him, telling us how great it is. This is a disaster. As we've talked about before, it lets in up to 5,000 illegals per day. It hands the district courts of D.C. the ability to take care of any legal stuff on this, which is beyond insane. There's nobody there. It's a Republican in any seat that I'm what's aware of whatsoever at the U.S. District Court in D.C. And they can come up to 1,000 a day. Up to 5,000 a day. There was something about cutting it back down to 2,000 or something like that. But 2,000, this is obscene. No, none. So do you want Republicans to push this bill through? Do you think we should take this so-called bipartisan deal, or should we reject it? And does Chuck Schumer, he's now threatening us, saying that we're going to be our kids are going to be sent to war to fight the war in Ukraine against Russia if we don't pass this bill. Does Chuck Schumer's threats of this going to war with Russia if we don't pass it, the bill, make you more likely to support the bill or less likely? And what would work for you on a border deal? Tell me what would work for you as well. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Schumer also said this, that he admitted the border is chaos. So this is crucial for America. It's a turning point. History is going to look over our shoulders and say, did we rise to the occasion? Yes. Did we rise to the occasion and pass something that sucks so bad that now Mitch McConnell has changed his mind in one day? This is coming across my wire from Breitbart. McConnell made the shocking decision to reverse his decision against the border bill now, to recommend that Republicans block the advancement of the Senate bill. Why? It was set for Wednesday, the vote, but McConnell cited the overwhelming number of Senate Republicans planning to vote no. It wouldn't pass. They wanted more time to read it and not let this be shoved through, according to Punchbowl News. So that's it. McConnell said the political mood in our country has changed since the negotiations began a month ago. And boom. He says Democrat leaders agreed to pay foreign aid to Ukraine, of which McConnell is the greatest champion of. Anyways, the point being here, guys, is that the border deal apparently is now dead. Isn't that interesting, guys? Okay, now, oh my gosh. I just saw something that's pretty amazing. I'll share with you in just a second. But, okay, so basically the border bill is now apparently dead. That's interesting. So they don't have the will for it, etc. And here we go. Border looks doomed from the Wall Street Journal. Border bill looks doomed as GOP senators criticize it. All right. That's pretty interesting, y'all. So it's dead, which is good. Are you glad that it's dead? Now I can ask you a new question because it just happened. Are you glad that the Democrat, the quote-unquote bipartisan the amnesty deal is now dead for letting in thousands of illegals per day? Are you glad that it's dead? 800-288-WBAP. They can't even call it a bipartisan thing anymore because it's not bipartisan support. It's over. And I'm glad. Because honestly, the bill would have allowed a couple of thousand or more per day, up to 5,000 per day. And it would have given them work permits. Do you understand that? It would allow them to work. Because they can't work right now. Because listen to this. Joe Biden literally started letting in millions of illegals, knowing that the Congress didn't pass any laws on this, right? And Congress is where all the purse comes. The purse comes from the funding, right? So what that means is Joe said we're letting in 9 million. Actually, it'll be 12 million, 13 million by the time he's over next year. He's going to let this keep going. So what Joe Biden's doing is he literally knew that these people could not work legally. They can't. And they cannot provide for themselves legally. They cannot pay for money to feed themselves. They cannot pay for money to house them. They have money to house themselves. They cannot do anything for themselves. They are totally indigent. 9 million freaking people on the dole of this country. And he didn't plan to take care of that. He just said, let them in. And so now we have up to 9, well, more than 9 million likely people that can't work, can't drive, can't do anything. Totally indigent. And many of them are stealing from us now, robbing us, raping us in some of these cases, and doing a lot more damage. And the rest are just bums. They can't work. So Joe Biden did this to us. He knew this would be the case, but he did it to us because he thought that just having a massive invasion would eventually lead to us collapsing and giving in and doing a freaking deal like this, allowing them to work. I don't want them to work. They need to get the heck out of here. And by the way, did you see that New York City today has literally decided to spend millions and millions of dollars giving the illegals up to $1,000 per month for food. And they can spend it at the bodegas, the convenience stores and stuff like that. They're going to give all these illegals up to $1,000 a month on a card, a MasterCard, to buy food. But they can also buy beer with it. They can buy cigarettes. They can buy God knows what they want to do. They want to go buy a gun maybe. I don't know if they'll trade it for cash, buy a gun. I mean, this is insane. And that's coming out of the New Yorkers' pockets. And Mayor Adams said, this is a great idea. It's going to save us money. Yes, you're spending $1,000 per month with a card for free food for illegals, and they can buy anything with it. It's not restricted. And they were going to make them sign an affidavit saying they promised they're not going to spend it on anything but food. Dude, that's the only thing that illegals can do. They can only get free handouts. And this is one of them. I mean, this is what's going on. Joe Biden planned on having this invasion, as I've been telling you for a couple of years now, to use it as a cudgel, a massive sledgehammer, all these illegals, to pound us over the head, to force us into coming up with some kind of a deal that he could brag about. And this was his deal to brag about it, and it failed. Are you glad, as of tonight, this border amnesty bill from Senator James Lankford, the sellout, whose own party, the Republican Party in Oklahoma, has disowned him and publicly repudiated him and disowned him in their state of Oklahoma, which is unbelievable. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Do you want Republicans to push this bill through? Do you think that we should have taken the deal, etc.? Now, we're going to get to Mark and Heath right now. Mark, you're on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Hey, Mark.
Hey, buddy, coming to you from 93.3 right here.
Woohoo, baby! Oh, yeah!
Anyway, the bottom line is I'm trying to get you off the speaker. I apologize. But there we go. Thank you. Hello?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How you doing, buddy? Listen, the bill is how many pages long? 800,000 pages?
No, I think it was, last time I heard, I think it was like 367 pages or something like that.
Okay. A little hyperbole for Mark tonight. I'm sorry. But anyway, they don't give anybody time to review all the details, which are basically nothing.
Right.
The limits suck. They can come back and stop it if they don't like it. The president has this line item, basically veto of any and all provisions. And then you've got these low-level government workers deciding on who can come in and who can't.
Right.
I mean, it's like, why do we even elect these SOBs? I'm fired up. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. It's fine.
I mean,
you didn't swear. Go ahead.
I'm going home. I'm coming home tonight, and I'm going to sit down and write my senators and congressmen and tell them to get this thing out of the books and write something that makes sense.
Well, actually, I don't want them to write anything. I want them to deport these illegals. Do you really think we need new laws for this to modify our country for Joe Biden?
Yeah, very good point, my friend.
All right. Thank you very much for your great call, Mark. Look forward to your next one. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for listening on FM 93.3. All right. I'm going to give you more details because this just broke. Plus, I'm going to tell you about Abbott vowing to expand the border operation that we're doing right now with Operation Lone Star. We are winning. I'm going to get into that a little bit next and give you all the details. Coming up next in the Chris Crock Show on this bill has been killed tonight, which is great. The illegal amnesty bill.